Hey friends, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina, and I am super pumped to be doing this series of videos on travel car seats. So I'd like to introduce this little Graco Contender. So, compared to the other two car seats that I did for travel car seat, this car seat is going to be heavier than those two. So the other ones are the Costco Sonera Next and the Maxi-Cosi Romy. This one, Graco Contender, is going to be the heaviest of the three. It's going to be the most expensive of the three, but it also has, I feel, the best and most realistic feature set of the three. So let's get into what makes it special versus the other guys. Weight. I'm guessing this seat weighs around 15 pounds just from lifting it. I lift infant seats all day. I lift a lot of heavy boxes here at work. If I had to put my money on it, I'd say it ranges between 13 and 16 pounds. So we'll just average it out at about 15. My postage scale is too small to put it on there. Otherwise, I would weigh it that way for you. But it's still gonna fall into my classification of lightweight, meaning I wouldn't mind carrying this through an airport. I wouldn't mind getting a bag for it, little cheap bag, you know, a backpack or something, and being able to tote it around. So definitely a nice option. It's gonna come with 2 cup holders. 2 cup holders, that's a lot of cup holders. Our other guys only came with 1. This one is technically the most expensive of the 3. So this, I believe, retails for around $149. However, I got mine on sale for $112. So still very, very affordable. And this has way more features than the other seats that we were looking at. So I think possibly a stronger value for dollar with this seat, just in terms of features that would make me not go crazy when I'm in an airport in Hawaii trying to install it, and my kid is crying and my spouse is annoyed with me. So yeah, that couldn't possibly be anybody else, right? That's not your life story. Yeah, so we like seats that are easy to install. We like seats that come with features, and if we don't have to pay $1 million for them, that's even better. So this one did come wrapped in plastic. Normally I don't get into that, but based on this series of differences between the seats, I would point that out. This one came in a plastic bag and in a box, so that is very nice. The infant insert in the seat is only intended to be used for rear facing. So this seat will hold 5 to 40 pounds rear facing. And unlike the other seats that we saw, this one will hold a kid up to 65 pounds in forward facing mode. That is amazing. The other one's cut out at 40. This one's gonna go up to 65. So if you've got that 5, 6, 7-year-old and you're still wanting to maybe utilize a car seat, this should be able to hold them weight-wise. Now, the other thing that was kind of a stinker about the other 2 seats that we looked at were that they had a seated torso height of 13.5 inches. I'm not gonna lie, that's incredibly short. That's probably the shortest car seat I've encountered since the Combi Kokoro, which was from like the mid-2000s. Yeah, you can Google that. Good luck trying to find one. But yeah, so it's gonna hold a bigger, taller kid. This one, I couldn't believe it when I measured it. The seated torso height is 18 inches long. That's longer than some of the seats that I sell that are $550. And this guy is clocking it at $114. It holds a longer body for a longer duration of use. So I am not mad at that. Another thing you might notice is that we have a no rethread harness. So with those other car seats, and I will do a comparison video with them all next to each other, when you want to adjust the shoulder harness height, you're going to have to physically rethread. If you're in a $60 price point, I totally understand why a company would ask the customer to do that. At this price point though, I do think it is a really awesome feature that they have the easy up and down for the shoulder harness height, just to make your life a little bit easier. And speaking of ease, besides the 2 cup holders and the easy up and down shoulder harness height, another thing you're gonna get with this seat that you don't get with the other ones is a level recline indicator. So those other car seats claim that they start from 5 pounds. It's kind of terrifying because they don't have any real like infant body support. Here we do get an infant body pillow, which again is to be used just in rear facing mode. But if we wanted to use this seat with a child younger than a year, it does make me feel more comfortable just knowing that it has a little bit more body support. Now, the other seats have been tested with 5-pound dummies, so they should be perfectly acceptable to use. It's just one of those things where it might be a peace of mind thing to see your child in there and not swallowed up by the seat, but actually sitting in there a little bit more comfortably. So I would give definitely the benefit to these guys for that. That's a really nice feature. When it does go into rear-facing mode, our other seat didn't have an adjustable foot, which is what you see there. That's going to put us for rear-facing, and then on the side, we should see the bubble. Yay! It's in the correct level of light blue. That's going to be for 0 to 3 months. The darker blue is going to be for 3+ months. So you've got that blue spectrum for rear-facing installation, which is great because we're not looking for a line that's the same color as the plastic, hard to see if it's darker. We're in a parking garage trying to install it. Now, one thing I will say that I was a little surprised at, given its cost, turn it back to forward facing, is the type of latch that they do with this seat. So you get a hook and anchor, lower anchor connector piece. I don't hate this. It's just not my favorite style of latch attachment. I prefer a lower anchor attachment, the Imigo style, where it clicks in, or I should just say Imi style, where it clicks in and you have a red button on the end for removal. Removing a seat with that style of latch is going to be much easier than this style. It's not something that you can't overcome. It's definitely doable. It's just one of those things where you'll tighten it in very tight, and then when it comes time to loosen the seat, to remove it, you're going to want to make sure that you loosen this belt slightly before you start digging in there to get this piece out. Trust me, it'll make your life much simpler to have a little bit of give. Okay, so that being said, 2 cup holders, rear facing to 40, forward facing to 65. Rear facing height on this guy, I believe they indicate that it tops out, usually it's marked directly on here, but forward facing, the bigger benefit to keep in mind is that it's a 49 standing inch forward facing mode. So the reason why it probably doesn't have a height listed on the rear facing mode is because the shoulder harness height here goes up significantly higher. So the reality is they don't need to mark it at like 40 inches for a rear facing cutoff, because again, the shoulder harness height will continue to go up. So as long as you have an inch of shell over the top of their head, in rear facing, the harness would be at or below their shoulders. This would give you a longer duration of use for a longer bodied child in rear facing mode. So like they can all hold 40 pounds rear facing, but this one will take a longer body. So if you've got a long, skinny kid that you still want to ride rear facing, because this seat gives you a longer seated torso height, you would get way more capacity to utilize this in rear facing mode, provided they're still under 40 pounds. So that's where the additional value with this seat lies. Also for forward facing, obviously, they're gonna be able to sit in it longer because it goes to 65 pounds and holds a longer body. That's just very clear. But I wanna point out about that rear facing, that if you're doing the rear facing, which is what this whole video is about, I'm gonna touch on this in every single one of these. The number one travel car seat that I get asked about is the Pico Wavy. That seat will only forward face. Theoretically, you can use it for a kid as little as 1 year old and 22 pounds. I would not recommend that. I would recommend doing what's best practice, which is keeping them rear facing as long as humanly possible in their car seat, as long as the car seat allows it. So these seats are cheaper than that seat, but in many ways they're going to offer more safety benefit because they can be installed rear facing. Rear facing in a car seat is 80% safer than forward facing. So if we're going on vacation with our 2-year-old and we want to put them rear facing, it's nice to have an option that we're going to be able to do that. That's not super heavy and not $1 million. So that's the whole point of this conversation. That being said, what aren't we getting with a seat like this? So on my other seats, I did the same thing where when you pull back the seat fabric, you'll see on the interior of the seat, and I don't know how well you guys can see this. I'm really going to try to pull it from the other direction here. It's plastic. we are missing that, try to get it more centered. We're missing that bike helmet foam that you would get in a more expensive car seat. So you would get an EPS or an EPP shock foam in a more expensive and a heavier car seat. And those are great because those features will help take the amount of time it takes for the force to transfer to the child. It's going to slow that down. That's what we want in an accident, is to create as much time in between impact and that impact transferring to the body. So on seats that don't have that bike helmet foam, it's going to be, you know, something to keep in mind about why they're cheaper and why they're lighter weight. If we come up here to the headpiece though, let's take that out. Oh, exciting! This makes me really happy. If you look around where their precious little head is, where they have all their little precious thoughts, dumb thoughts too, but precious ones nonetheless. We have EPS shock foam. I think that's a really nice feature. It would make me feel better knowing that not only is their side-to-side head movement limited because we have a piece that's closer around their head than just the shell of the seat itself, but that the piece surrounding their head has that bike helmet foam. So, yeah, all things being equal, if I had to pick, you know, for myself, I'm a huge fan of safety features. So for me, this one would probably be my favorite just because it has the most safety benefit. It's got the clearest indicators of what to do. It's asking me to do very little. Something I will say that's a little unusual about this seat versus the other two seats is that when you do a forward-facing installation here with either latch or seatbelt, it's not an open belt path. They have this able to be opened up to see the interior of the seat, but typically when a seat fabric does that, when you're installing with the seatbelt, you would have a clear path to see what the heck is going on. On this seat, that's not the case. They have a plastic piece covering up all of this. And I thought that was a little annoying, but now that I think about it, because they have this sliding plate and they have a no rethread harness, it actually makes sense that we don't want those pieces, that belt or the latch belt, interfering with any of that. So while it might be a little more cumbersome and annoying, it does serve a purpose, and I think that the design behind that is actually pretty clever, so I'm impressed that they did that. In general, I'm very impressed with this seat for the price. For $112, this is an incredible value. Yeah, it's a little heavier, but it's going to be chocked full of features and a longer duration of use than the other two that we looked at. I don't believe that the fabric is flame retardant free. I'm almost positive in this price point that it's not. Also, Graco makes so many seats, you know, they have to pass that somehow, and I think that's the most cost-effective way to do it. I would need to double check that, and of course this comes in other colors. I just thought the purple was cool, you know, as just something different. So again, you could get it black, gray, whatever you want. But this is a really fabulous car seat for the price. You get a tremendous value for dollar, and yeah, overall wider, 18.5 inches wide. The other guys were around 16 3/4 or 17. This one is definitely 18.5, so a little wider. I still think you could probably squeeze 3 across, but it would depend. And trying to think of anything else. Yeah, if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Also, please feel free to hit like or subscribe if this information is useful to you. And please feel free to recommend or share the channel with someone who might also find the information useful. Thank you so much for watching, and check out my other videos on the Costco Sonera Next and the Maxi Cosi Romy, and then my video comparing all three to each other just so you can see them side by side and really understand those differences. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate our viewers so much.